Well, once again, the Enterprise is cruising along, and then they catch a cold. Now the ship does, in Contagion. So, they meet up with another starship that looks exactly like the Enterprise. Which, you know, you would expect. That's how the old show did it. They would come across some other starship, and it was the same make and model and all that, and you know, stands to reason. Now, of course, in other episodes, you'd have different models and stuff they borrowed from the movies and that kind of thing. But, again, you gotta expect that. So, but this ship's in trouble, and Enterprise says, oh, well, let's see if we can help. And they say, we think we got it, but yeah, we could use any assistance. And then, boom, it blows up. I'm like, holy crap. Whoa. So the deal is they were in the neutral zone. So they begin to suspect some Romulans did something to them. And the thing is, he thinks they've discovered a long-lost civilization that's legendary and all this sort of thing. And they were this advanced society and whatnot. And they fear that there's some leftover technology on this planet. And he's saying, oh, man, what if the Romulans get that? It could really turn the tide against the Starfleet and the Federation and all that. So we can't just ignore it. So, and yet the ship blows up. And so Picard's like, we've got to investigate this. So they fly to the planet, and sure enough, there's some anomaly down there. And then it scans the Enterprise, and guess what happens? Oh no, the coffee maker doesn't work, the toilet's back up. And worst of all, Data gets sick and has to shut down. Now you're really in trouble if you've got no data. And so basically, computer virus. That's what it does to keep people away from snooping in their business. They're all long dead. It's like Magrathea and the nuclear missiles they fire at people snooping around their dead planet and all that. But anyway, the Romulans show up, and of course they're suspicious of Starfleet and whatnot. And they're like, oh no, and the Enterprise is compromised and we're going to get destroyed. But the Romulan ship starts to... Yes, they got probed too. So now they're sick. And so, well, they have to come together to help each other out and all that stuff. They figure it out. And then the long-lost civilization depository of old weapons and technology or whatever blows up. So everyone's good. And... well, we'll keep that in mind. They don't. The Romulans still are the sinister villains of the series. Second only to the Borg, I guess. And later the Dominion, but that's Deep Space Nine. But anyway, it ends on that note. So all in all, it was okay. Not too exciting, but I've always liked basically the template of a lost civilization or whatnot in Star Trek, and they keep coming back to this time and again. As another episode that's probably much better, where they get in a trap and stuff like that, and that's pretty cool. And then ultimately, the story that STD is currently stealing and acting like they're doing a sequel to was a really good one they do too. But we'll get to that when we get to it. But anyway, Contagion, I'm over it. The cough is gone. But it was an okay episode. Not one of the worst of a overall bad season, with some great bright spots in it, but just okay. So anyway, next was the Royale, and oh crap, I haven't watched it yet. Well, this is embarrassing. All right, hang on, I'll go watch it, and I'll come right back and tell you what I think. Okay, I'm back. Well, this one was called The Royale, which was the name of a fictional casino from a novel. And, all right, look, this was an episode that I'm sure the jumping off point was, hey, how can we do our own version of a piece of the action? And that's kind of sort of where they went, and then kept removing elements until they came up with this story. It's all right. In some ways, probably a little better than Contagion. But basically, they also did something from the old show in which you make one set for them to go to, which is the casino set. And as far as the alien world, well, they just turn the lights off in the soundstage so that it's all black everywhere. Remember when Kirk, Spock, and McCoy were being experimented on by these creepy aliens and some deaf mute girl? Yeah, that one. And they just, we're in this black void and all. Yeah. Well. Anyway, same type of situation here. So there's a mysterious planet. There's weird signals. There's some debris. They beam it aboard, and oh my God, it says NASA on it. And it's some piece of wreckage from a long-lost starship. From the olden days, but still a future time for us. In that distant time period of apparently 2038. Well, don't worry, they keep time traveling, and so it changes the narrative of Star Trek. So that's how you explain that later on, you know. Anyway, so they decide to investigate, and oh boy, I wonder what this is all about. And they beam down to this one structure on this nasty storm-filled planet that has virtually no breathable atmosphere except for this one structure. And they go into it, and there's this mysterious revolving door. And so Riker, Worf, and Data decide to go through it. And next thing they know, they're in this casino. And they're like, wow, this is weird. And there's some plot seeming to unfold about the owner is this criminal guy who's keeping this girl, but one of the young staff members, waiter or whatever he is in love with the girl and is trying to rescue her, and he's going to face off against Mickey D or whatever his name was. And it's meant to be stupid, as you'll find out. So that's going on, and they're looking around and all that stuff. Meanwhile, the ship notices, hey, they're cut off. We can't contact them because while they're within this structure, they can't penetrate it. Eventually, they figure out how to get through, if only barely, but they still can't beam them out. They discover they're trapped in it. And they're, oh, no, we can't get out. What do we do? And they keep searching for other ways around. And Data strikes up a friendship with some old cowboy guy who likes to gamble and is trying to win over the charms of some young lady there. All this type of stuff. But that's only to get Data used to the game and whatnot, because it becomes important later. As they search the place, they eventually find this bedroom, and there's a corpse in the bed. Turns out that's the astronaut from the ship, the debris of the lost ship that they found. They discover this guy. They get his name. They're able to contact the Enterprise, and they research it, and turns out, yeah, this was this Colonel so-and-so. I've already forgotten the guy's name. And he disappeared into space, and all of that. They don't know what became of him. They figure, well, somehow he ended up here. And yet it's an enormous distance that he shouldn't have been able to make. But later on, they just sort of have a brief line at the end saying, well, I guess the aliens got him. And that's what happened. He's been abducted by aliens in this story. And they thought they would make him comfortable with something recognizable. And so they found this novel he had in his ship. That was his god-awful crime story that literally begins as Picard starts studying it to try to figure out how to help them, and reads it, and it starts off with, it was a dark and stormy night. So, oh, God. So that's the deal, and this poor bastard couldn't figure out how to get out because he can't leave. And it's basically a holodeck, but you can't find the way out. You can't get the program to let you out. So this poor bastard dies. He leaves a message. Hopefully human eyes will find this and understand what happened. Oh, God. I don't blame the aliens. I would. They don't understand. Yeah, well. So eventually they realize, as they had to follow the plot of the novel and win this game, because there were these characters in the end who come in, they win big, and they buy the casino. And so that happens. The whole thing with Mickey D and the kid, the young lover or whatever, he just gets killed, and that was meaningless. No, you got to buy the place. So with Data and Riker's gambling expertise, of course they win, and then they walk out. There you go. That's that. So unfortunately, the original astronaut didn't have Data there or Riker. And then it says he hated the novel. It's horrible. And yet he spent the rest of his life having to live that story over and over again. It's really, boy, that's quite a horror story that took place before they ever arrived. But what are you going to do, you know? So, yeah, that's where they go back, and, you know, Riker's talking to Picard and saying, man, I don't know how you got this far out. Well, perhaps the aliens brought him here. Yeah. They could have just left him alone in his ship and stuff, but or fixed it. Well, I forget what the deal was. It doesn't matter. It wasn't that great of an episode. It had its moments, and it, you know, it was all right. But I've never bothered to, I guess I ought to look into the behind the scenes and listen to the commentary and see if they do mention that that's what the inspiration was a piece of the action where a book inspires aliens to copy this type of thing, but it comes out in a different way. So they made their own thing with it. So that, you know, it's not like it's a total ripoff. But it's all right, I guess.